Welcome to Cyberside Chats. My name is Sherri Davidoff. I'm the founder of LMG Security.
And I am Matt Durrin, the Director of Training and Research for LMG Security.
And today we're going to talk about inside the spider's web, what recent arrests and indictments have revealed about the inner workings of Scattered Spider.
I am so excited to talk about this.
I am so excited. I have more paper in front of me than I have for any other Cyberside Chats podcast because I'm doing, what is it, A Beautiful Mind, where they have like all the papers and strings up.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
Like, we have so much information. I love indictments.
It's huge. Like, there is so much information here. I love it.
So, two recent arrests or recent indictments in September of 2025 were Thalha Jubair in the UK and a Nevada teen.
Yeah, 17-year-old kid.
A 17-year-old kid. And at the time that these attacks took place, he was probably 15, right?
Yeah,
right. This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right about, yeah.
So there's a few interesting points. One, of course, is the ages of several of the folks that have been involved. They're teenagers. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think in a lot of cases we're seeing the foot soldiers or people that were involved in more high-risk activity and not necessarily like the folks behind the curtains who were a little, smarter about risk management. But nonetheless, some of the folks that have been indicted over the past couple of years have been really key participants in Scattered Spider. So why don't we dig in and talk about what we've learned and maybe how Scattered Spider operates and some takeaways for all of us.
Oh, totally. And the name of the group is significant here because Scattered.
Yes.
Scattered.
That's part
Spider.
of why my desk looks like, A Beautiful Mind, because these indictments and arrests are happening all over the world. Mm-hmm. And to piece them together is challenging, and it has required international cooperation amongst law enforcement as well, which is nice to see because as we had that change of the administration in the beginning of the year, there were some questions as to whether or not we were going to see hackers brought to justice. And if you were wondering, the answer is yes. We are still seeing law enforcement running these to ground internationally.
Well, not even internationally, but nationally. Like when we talk about the 17-year-old who was arrested who turned himself in.
Yes,
in
Nevada.
Yeah, in Nevada for the MGM hack. He turned himself in Clark County. That is,
And these are, I just watched War Games, by the way, over the weekend.
Yeah.
And so that was teenagers hacking. But in this case, it's a teenager who hacked a casino that resulted in $100 million worth of damages.
Loss, yeah.
I mean, that is not like cute Matthew Broderick in War Games. This is real money.
It's the same group that was behind the Caesars hack too. They have been responsible for. What did they say? Jubair was responsible for $115 million in crypto payments or something like that.
Well, Scattered Spider in general had received at least $115 million in ransomware payments. And you're right, Jubair was responsible for a lot of the money movement, which is why he was tracked down. We're going to dig into how he was tracked down.
Oh, God, that's funny.
But I took the Jubair indictment and mapped, there were 7 victims named, plus the United States court system itself, because he hacked the court and did a search for Scattered Spider. I mean, come on.
That is amazing to actually
see.
Talk
about poking them in the eyeballs. What is the judge going to think of that?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll come back to that at the end. But I took all the victims and mapped them to publicly known cases involving Scattered Spider.
Right.
And so we don't know for sure. The victims are not named. But if you look, you can see, for example, victim number 7, likely American Waterworks. Mm-hmm. This was a New Jersey help desk. They reset the password. Jubair himself was involved in that directly, making that call, which makes sense because he's a native English speaker.
Native English speaker,
Yeah, and so again, when you're seeing folks getting arrested, when you're seeing them tracked down, often they're involved in higher risk roles, like directly involved in payments or directly involved in contacting the companies themselves.
Yeah.
Victim number 2, I thought was very interesing.
Caesars.
Almost
obviously.
certainly Caesars. Yeah. The time frames line up. The amount of the Bitcoin payment lines up, $15 million. It was split into 2 payments. That's interesting also.
That is, yeah.
And we were talking earlier that, in part, these criminals are tracked down because the payments were actually made. Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, we don't want to fund crime, but on the other hand, if you make the payment, it does sometimes help track down the criminals.
Well, there is a reason, too, when we work with insurance companies, when they talk about doing ransom payments, they have a requirement that we pay in Bitcoin. And the reason for that is
It's tracked downable.
It's tracked down
because that ledger is public. It's not a privacy token.
So eventually, and we saw this with the Ilya Lichtenstein, like the crypto couple out of New York. Like eventually, they make some kind of mistake, and some Bitcoin gets deposited into a wallet that has like an actual name associated with it. Because if you were going through like a normal crypto exchange, like you have to verify your identity, and so.
Okay, we have to talk about the crypto couple.
Yes.
If you have not looked up the crypto couple, they first of all, they stole what is now like billions.
Oh, yeah, like $3 billion
so they sat on
of Bitcoin,
it for years. And ultimately, and the wife of the couple is a rapper. I mean, she's not a full-time rapper.
No.
She's the worst rapper I have ever seen.
Well, I don't know about the worst, but like,
no.
it's pretty
the crocodile of Wall Street. So anyway, if you haven't heard of them, definitely Google them. We'll put a link in the show notes.
We will.
But you're right. I mean, they were tracked down same way as Al Capone. Follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. And they were trying to do kind of the same thing that the Scattered Spider group was doing. Like they were trying to get gift cards. They were trying to use like Bitcoin ATMs.
Yes.
Things where you could translate that kind of cryptocurrency into like, tangible cash or something like that.
Yeah.
And that is where we see that attribution take place. I mean, that's where we get the name behind the person who's actually behind it.
So let's dig into one of these indictments a little more, the one of Thalha Jubair, who we've mentioned a few times. So Thalha Jubair operated with Scattered Spider between about 2023 and 2025.
Right.
And he started off helping with the money. So he was involved in the Caesars Entertainment hack, and his role was to manage the ransom wallets and the laundering process. He was involved in the case that probably maps to Clorox. It's called a U.S.-based manufacturer in the indictment.
I think we're pretty sure that's who that is. But
and they felt, again, Scattered Spider targeted the help desk. They committed social engineering. That resulted in ransomware, network encryption, and disruption to the manufacturer. Which is, I mean, manufacturers are actually at very high risk of business interruption, of course.
Oh, they're huge.
Directly impacts their
huge
bottom
target
line.
right now.
So they paid $7 million, and those were routed into wallets that were controlled by Jubair.
Yeah.
So again, he's involved in that payment process. He's the crypto custodian. It's clear he's moving into roles where he's really very heavily trusted. And then they hack 2 different financial institutions, possibly Fidelity National, Mr. Cooper Group. Again, we don't know for sure.
We don't have direct attribution for those, but like
those are cases that were happening at that time. And Scattered Spider was involved.
The Mr. Cooper Group was huge. We've had that come up in several conversations with other clients that we have who work in the finance industry. Like that was a big deal for a lot of people.
Financial services, like you don't see them in the news that much. So when they get hit, it's really impactful. So those ransoms were massive. One of them was $25 million. One of them was $36 million. And again, he's controlling the flow of the ransom payment.
Right. Yeah.
So by the end, let's see, when was it that he got directly involved? It was, I believe, American Waterworks in October of 2024. According to the indictment, Jubair himself calls a New Jersey help desk, impersonates an employee, tricks staff into conducting a password reset, and then gets into the systems and exfiltrates critical data.
Well, and I think this is a big point that we want to make here with this specific podcast is that I mean, when we talk about the tactics that Scattered Spider and Lapsus and other groups like that are using, I mean, they're not necessarily super technologically sophisticated.
No.
They're going after like the low-hanging fruit.
This is not Trinity in the Matrix. They're not even using Nmap.
Exactly. Like no, they're literally calling the help desk and saying, "I am employee X. I lost my phone. Reset my password. Reset my MFA," and the help desk falls for it. And that's one of the ways that they get into these networks to start with. Obviously, they're a little bit more sophisticated once they're inside, but like that's their foot in the door at that point. It's very simple for them, which is one of the takeaways we'll talk about when we get to the end here. But like it's a huge problem.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's interesting to see Jubair's role evolving.
Yeah.
And then to your point about how he gets tracked down, it's clear that investigators unraveled that flow of the money.
Sure.
And it actually talks in the indictment. Hang
on, he got DoorDash.
Because he had food delivered, so they had to, as part of this, they follow the flow of money to a ransom wallet, and then it looks like those funds were used to purchase gift cards. Aha, so sneaky. And back in the day, Albert Gonzalez, a cybercriminal mastermind, was part of the Keebler Elves, other organizations, and he was using stolen credit card numbers and having products dropped at abandoned houses that were not directly attached to them. In this case, Jubair, number one, used it to buy gaming.
Yeah, Xbox gaming cards.
Xbox gaming cards. And those, because of KYC and things like that, like they're actually law enforcement clearly subpoenaed the gaming company.
Yeah.
And one of those accounts was registered to Jubair at his home address.
Yep.
Ooh, that's hard. And then he actually got one of them. He used a gift card to have food delivered to his own address. Like, come on,
well,
you guys.
I mean, we all want Jersey Mike's sometimes. Let's just be honest about that.
Okay, I used my ransomware payment to buy a gift card. Investigators will never figure this out, and now I'm going to have food delivered to my house.
Well, it's funny when we talk about that, though, because this is a shift in the cyber criminal industry. Like, we've talked for a long time about these very sophisticated cyber criminal groups, like Lockbit or Conti or someone like that. And there has been this evolution in the industry where now we have a randomly distributed group of people like Scattered Spider, who, I mean, a lot of them are kids, and they're probably
gamers.
The gamers. They're not thinking about that level of operational security. Like, they're not thinking about masking their address 7 steps down the line or something like that.
Right.
And that's what got Jubair, was that he just decided to use the funds he had to do something for himself.
Well, and I suspect they think, oh, I did this. Nobody arrested me in the next few weeks. I got away with it.
Yeah,
and so then they continue on and on and on. And they don't realize, within a couple of years, it might take law enforcement a while to unravel that whole thing.
Oh,
they will.
I mean, we saw with some of the other cases we've been looking at, like the DarkSide case, as an example. I mean, that was a years-long investigation before they had
the crypto couple. Yeah. I mean, there was
the
an
crypto
exchange
couple was
that got taken down, and then they went through all the transactions of the exchange, and then they had to go get the gift cards and subpoena retailers, and they got them, and it took years.
It took close to a decade for them to find that couple, but they did. And
they did.
I mean, law enforcement's not giving up on these things.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how they tracked down Jubair, some of the methods. They also use things, of course, like device forensics.
Sure.
In some of the other cases, there were registrar, hosting, and internet service provider logs.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw there was a person in the organization who was specifically responsible for registering domains, and they went through DigitalOcean and Namecheap and places like that. Which, I mean, eventually, if you follow that path back far enough, I mean, you're going to get to a name at the end of it.
One of the things I find interesting about Scattered Spider is the division of roles.
Yeah.
And that's something that the indictments reveal. So you can see El Badawi and Evans, two of the folks indicted over the past couple of years. They were responsible for infrastructure, like phishing infrastructure, domain infrastructure, credential collectors.
Right.
So they're registering domains, running Telegram channels. And then you get folks that are involved in, we'll get back to that.
We got to talk about Telegram.
Then you get folks that are involved in like the telco side of things, SIM swapping attacks, and that's Urban, Buchanan, Ogletree. So they're charged with those SIM swapping and telecom intrusions.
Yep.
And then you have the ransomware guy, Jubair, who's explicitly accused of controlling servers that were using to host cryptocurrency wallets. And then you get tool developers and operators like Joel Evans, who created software and phishing kits and administered the Telegram channel.
Well, again,
so those are some of the specific roles that the indictments revealed.
Well, and what's the most amazing about this to me is the distributed nature of this group. Like, they are literally everywhere across the planet. Yeah. And they're communicating via things like Telegram, which is for those of you who don't have it, Telegram is an encrypted chat client similar to Signal or something else like that. Right. But I mean, we see Telegram basically as like the new iteration of the dark web. I mean, there is a huge contingent.
A lot of dark web products are now being bought and sold on Telegram as well, instead of darknet marketplaces.
Well, like Worm GPT as an example, like that runs through Telegram.
Did you get that from Telegram?
That's how it operates now.
That's right. Yeah, when you talk to Worm GPT, you're using Telegram.
I'm using Telegram.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, do you want to talk any more about Telegram?
No. I think that's it. Okay. For those of you that don't use Telegram, don't. For those that do, be careful. It's nasty, but yeah.
So I think the last thing we need to talk about is the U.S. courts.
Yes.
So in addition to the 7 victims that are named in Jubair's indictment, the U.S. courts is explicitly named.
Yes, because he hacked the court.
Literally in January of 2025, Jubair phones up the judiciary's IT support. And he resets different account passwords, including a magistrate judge's. And then he breaks in and searches their inboxes for things like subpoena and scattered spider. And then he steals a bunch of sensitive information. And like, nobody's going to try to track me down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he really just poked him right in the eyeball. But again, you see the same tactics time and time again.
Yeah. Well, again, he hit them through the help desk. Like that was a
through the help desk.
Simple password reset. Calling in, pretending to be someone, getting a password reset, getting access that way. And we see them doing this over and over and over again. So
number one takeaway.
I think it leads to our number one takeaway.
Lock down your help desk.
Yes, exactly.
If you have not really focused on your help desk training, security procedures, account resets, things like MFA reset. Focus on that now, because Scattered Spider is not the only group that's targeting your help desk.
Not even close. Yeah, no.
So make sure that you're requiring strong multi-step verification before resets, and that you're monitoring for unusual requests.
I mean, it leads into that general question, like how do we verify who someone is, who they say they are? And something like security by trivia, like it
especially with spoofed caller ID, and now we're gonna have like deep fake
and voice cloning and everything else. Like it's gonna be tough, but like there are ways that you can do it that are not.
I think we need to bypass people. Like just rely on apps or something.
There you go. All right.
Number 2.
Next, I mean, so we can't talk about these guys without talking about ransomware or cyber extortion. So be prepared for a decision on whether or not you are going to be willing to pay a ransom. When we saw MGM versus Caesars, Caesars paid a ransom, MGM did not. And there was a significant difference in losses between those two. This is not the first time we've seen this. I mean, if we look at like
Baltimore.
I was going to say Baltimore. Don't get me, on that one. But
getting started.
I mean, I will go for 15 minutes on that if you want me to. But
the city of Baltimore chose not to make a ransom payment. And so they ended up having to restore from whatever backups they had. They lost a lot of data. And
$100,000 ransom payment versus what? $18 million to restore.
Damage.
It was.
And a lot of that came out of a Parks and Recreation Fund. So
that was sad. Yeah.
Somebody didn't get a park.
Yeah.
That makes me sad.
All right. So just be prepared to make that decision.
Well, a lot of organizations say, I've heard so many times in tabletops, companies saying, we're never going to make a ransom payment. And then they get hit with ransomware and they can't restore in a reasonable time frame, or maybe they won't be able to restore at all.
Right. Yeah.
And insurance would cover the ransom payment, and it changes. So I think you need to have a realistic conversation about that ahead of time.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
Okay. Get proactive on insider risk. A lot of these hackers are teens.
Yeah.
And they may even be recruited early in their careers or in their late teens. They're being lured in through Telegram and Discord. So fold this into your risk program. Do some checking. And even if someone's in an entry-level position, they can still be in a foothold in your organization.
Sure. Yeah. Next up, I mean, make sure that multi-factor authentication is a huge security tool. We talk about this one a lot, and it is like an essential cornerstone to a lot of security programs, but it is not perfect. So make sure that you are pressure testing how your MFA works.
I love that. Pressure test your MFA.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Watch your fallback methods, because criminals are going to be like, oh, I'm not going to use this strong method. I'm going to use SMS.
Exactly. If I can fall back to...
You don't want to have SMS fallback or phone-based fallback.
Or email or something like that. No, don't do that. When we look at like the Lapsus Group as an example, when they did the Uber hack, they came out and specifically said in an interview, we realized that there was no limit on the number of MFA pushes we could, throw through to someone in a period of time. So, hit someone 100 times at 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, they're probably going to just hit OK because they want to go to bed.
Right.
And attackers are using that exact same tactic. Like it works. I mean, you've seen it before. We do it in our social engineering testing. Like, how many times do we have to hit someone with MFA before they actually hit OK? Like, it's not 100. It's like 3.
Like 3. Yeah. Educate your team on voice-based social engineering, especially now that there has been a maturation of voice cloning and deepfake technology. Scattered Spider thrived on phone tactics, and they're not the only ones. So train your staff and be ready.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
We good?
With that, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sherri Davidoff.
I'm Matt Durrin.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Please like and subscribe to Cyberside Chats.